On this week's episode of The Come Up, I'm going to chat with Denise Chapman and Echelle Childers. Hello, people of the universe and world. It's Juneteenth, and this is The Come Up. How's it going? We're here. We're live. We're doing the thing. Thank you for being here. It's been a long week of The Come Up. It seems like you've all liked it, so that's good. Thanks for continuing to stick with us. So, before we begin, of course, a couple words. There have been resurfaces of the idea or notion, or I think truth, that Beethoven is actually Black. There have been reports that his father was a Moor, and those are Spanish Black folks. So it's likely that he was Black. And I believe that because his beats go hard, like real talk. And also, like, y'all like to steal stuff. So he probably looks more like this, but y'all just didn't want us to know that because you don't want us to live our complete happiness. But, you know, on the tip of y'all stealing stuff, I decided to go to memory lane and find a couple other things that white folks have just claimed as theirs that actually aren't. Do you know this man? This is Jimmie Rodgers. Jimmie Rodgers is one of the most successful country singers of all time. Jimmie Rodgers is known as the father of country. Jimmie Rodgers is the first artist, or one of the first artists, to be successful or as successful as he in his record sales as he was in his live performances. So we have Jimmie Rodgers to thank for country, and I think y'all like to claim that one. This man is named Bo Diddley. He had a friend that was named Chuck Berry. And Chuck Berry had a friend named Little Richard. These three people are pretty much responsible for what you know as rock and roll. According to Billboard, in 2019, the top 10 rock artists of all time at the end of the year were all white folks, which is strange because Black folks did it first. And in fact, most rock songs were written based off of rhythm and blues songs, which at that time were called race music. So I don't know how we went from that to calling this man the king of rock. Look at him. That's disrespectful. But it's not even just Black folks. Y'all stole spices from India. Cinnamon, coriander, cumin, turmeric, and, oh, there's one more. There's one more I'm forgetting. Pepper. You stole that one. You stole pepper. And to make it even worse, you haven't used a single one of those since. Why? Why'd you take them? What was the point? Also, the national drink of England is tea. But tea didn't exist in England until this man, Robert Fortune, snuck into a Chinese tea factory and stole the recipe. That would make no sense. And since then, you have continued to try and steal everything from our this whole time. I was saying super witty stuff as those pictures were happening, but y'all didn't hear it. So I'm gonna go back. Y'all, y'all tried to steal our style. For some reason, you think you look really good in braids. You do this to yourselves. I don't know why you do this to yourselves. And then we have really good ideas, and you take them, and you profit on them. And that is just not right. So, all that to say, white folks, whatever world we create after this, as the revolution is going on, don't take it. We always make something, then y'all try and take it, and then you get mad because we have it. That's how gentrification works too. You live in a neighborhood, a Black person shows up, you left years ago. Now you realize you don't need all that space. You don't need that big old house. So now you're trying to move back into where we are, but you didn't want it. That ain't right. You can't keep taking stuff from us. You can't keep taking stuff from us. That's all I got to say on it. Just get your own stuff. Make your own life. Get your own culture, dagnabbit. All right, Denise and Echelle, my dear friends. They are, they're just great. I just like them a lot. We're all from Omaha. We've all done work together. We've all are out here doing the real thing. We're doing the real work, I believe. And I'm excited to talk about what's happening in our city, which is a lot, and what's happening in the world, which is also a lot. So here we go. Denise Chapman and Echelle Childers. Ah!
Yeah.
Hello. Oh, do we have Echelle? Nope.
Shell.
Listen, when we get her, we'll bring her back.
Okay.
But Denise, how are you?
I am good. I am good. I just wrapped a week-long workshop of a new work by Quenisha D. Sibley. We were able to produce her show, Tell Martha Not to Moan, here. And while she was here, she got to redraft some work, and I got an invitation to help her work through that. And just really excited. And that goes up live next week. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Okay, so well, we'll just start by talking about what do you do? Where do you work right now?
What do I do? I am the producing artistic director of theater at the Union for Contemporary Art, located on 24th and Lake Streets in Omaha, Nebraska. Our organization will be 10 years old next year, so it's very exciting. We moved into the Blue Lion Center in our 5th year of existence and went from 3,000 square feet to a little over 17,000 square feet. And part of that expansion was a theater program. So I currently make theater that focuses on the diversity of the experiences within the African diaspora, which is my way of saying I make Black theater, but making sure that my language is inclusive enough so that all my people who maybe come from Blackness at different angles feel welcome at the table.
Yeah. What does blackness at different angles mean?
I think that what happens in our country is that we get boiled down to skin tones and percentages of melanin. But the truth is, like, Blackness in our country is a multicultural, multiracial, multi-ethnic experience. And also, like, there are folks who come from the Caribbean and Latin America, and their experiences within the diaspora are similar, but sometimes those experiences around Blackness aren't quite the same.
That totally makes sense. I love that. So we did the first show that we actually worked on together was The Divine Order of Becoming
Mm-hmm.
by Carla Stillwell. And that was the first piece at the Union as well.
Yes, it
Um,
was.
why was that a piece that you wanted to start this process or journey with?
Mm-hmm. Um, as we built the theater program in the Union, I was really mindful about representation, storytelling, and having entry points for our audiences. Um, I wanted everyone to be able to walk in there and have an experience that was hella Black, but also reminded folks that Black people are human. And within that, to have a pause for our non-Black and Brown audience members to make that connection and to say, oh, like, that's familiar. I know that relationship. I know that situation. And what Carla's piece does is all of that, and really allows us this full experience of what I call American Blackness,
Mm.
and a full experience of a relationship between a daughter and her mother. And it not only celebrates everything that I knew to be true around my culture and my experience living in this body, in this country, but it also forced people to have those conversations around, yeah, that was really specific to an experience that is not familiar to me, but those relationships were real to me.
Mm.
And we had so many people in our post-show talkbacks, and I think you remember, connecting to that mother-daughter story, connecting to that relationship with the other siblings. And I really think that show did was give us the groundwork and the foundation for us to be able to have the conversations we've been able to have since. So we've been really mindful to kind of continue to push and challenge our audiences with each show, but that one was really important. It probably spent a good month trying to figure out, like, where do we start and how do we make sure that this conversation is open, and how do we make sure that it is blackness full of blackness.
So in this new world of who knows what's happening because COVID and the race war, what ways is the performing arts sector, what a weird word, company,
right?
of the union, kind of shifting the way that you're doing work and thinking about what it means to create work in North Omaha?
Totally. I think so. Like, organizationally, we did a huge shift. So we shut down March 13th, probably like a week before the world imploded. Our boss was like, look, this ain't looking good. Go home, which was great. And really, we had a conversation around looking at the social justice part of our mission and how we show up in our community and how we support our neighbors. So a good chunk of that energy has been shifted towards gardening. That ain't my truth. I don't really garden, but I'll be there. I'll be there helping, handing out the vegetables and things. But you can't put me in charge of the water schedule because the vegetables will be thirsty.
Listen, okay, real quick gardening story. So I have a friend, and in college, he was like, "Can you watch my plant over the summer?" And I was like, "Sir, you do not want me to watch your plant. I'm not going to watch your plant." And he was like, "It's just, come on, you just have to water it." And I was like, "Okay." So one day I was walking into my house and I was like, "Why is there a dead plant on the deck? Like, what is that?" Oh, I forgot about it. It didn't survive. I just took a picture of it and sent it to him and was like, "Killed your plant. Sorry. This is what."
Sorry.
What did you want from me? I told you my truth. If you don't listen to that, I don't know where I'm supposed to go.
The only alive thing I can be responsible for right now is myself.
Period.
For real. Like, the Lord made sure that I was not responsible for any other human lives. I have no pets. I really can't be responsible for anything else that needs, like, water or food or caretaking on a regular basis. So, yeah.
Well, here's someone who's responsible for a whole lot of life.
Right?
Echelle!
All the life.
All the
everywhere.
life.
All the life
I think
everywhere.
you had two of my kids.
I tried. I did it for you, girl. You're welcome.
Appreciate you.
It's time for you to take them. This quarantine ain't been no joke.
It ain't nothing nice. It ain't nothing nice.
Echelle, how are you? How are you?
Happy Juneteenth, baby!
Happy Juneteenth.
Hey, Nick, I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm just kicking it with my best friends. This is great.
Hey, Denise.
Hey, Michelle. Hey, girl. Hey.
I hear y'all were in here talking about real stuff while I was trying to figure it all out.
We was just starting. We were
just getting the ball. We were just warming up. That was a primer. That's what they call a primer. So whenever I tell people I'm from Omaha and Chicago, I either get, "Oh, everybody's from Omaha. I know a lot of black people from Omaha," which is strange to me. Or, "We got black people there." So I just think it's funny because there are a lot of black people in Omaha. And so I don't know how people just miss that.
I think, first of all, I don't know that people understand Omaha to be a city. They think Omaha as more of the state. Like, they're like, "Oh, well, there's a lot of white people there." You're right. There's a lot of white people here.
That's true.
I mean, we've got some solid Black folks in Omaha, but there's a lot of white people here too. Because I was doing some research information on like populations and so like what theaters should have as far as like representation. And yeah, even in Omaha, it's like 77% white.
Yikes.
However, that being said, if you are an organization that has 40 people working for you, then that means that you need to have at least 9 POC.
Yeah.
Oh, there's some numbers for you.
That's math.
Just in case, I've got, you know what? I've got a calculator on my phone. Don't let anybody tell you percentages won't matter. Do learn percentages in math, yo.
That's real. That's real.
That's excellent.
So, I mean, in a place like Omaha, where 77% of the people are white, one thing I tell people all the time is I'm like, I really know white people. Like, I get them. I understand why they do. Like, no, I don't. That's not true. I don't understand why they do the things they do. But when they make terrible decisions, I think that we, and I'll say this about all of us, are able to be like, here's what they thought they were doing. And but that's not actually what was happening at all, because here's what you did instead. And there's a lot of that has to happen, because it's hard to make space for our voices sometimes, because they just...
Wait a minute, wow, that was light.
Oh, is it?
It's hard to make
How do you
space
feel
for our
then?
voices sometimes.
Yeah. Speak on it. What did you? How did that hit you?
Well, yeah, you're correct. It is definitely hard to make space for our voices. I believe that there should be a period after that. I appreciate this sometimes, but you're talking to us. I'm going to tell you who's got it down, though. Denise.
Oh,
she knows how to make space.
Yeah. Yes. She made a whole space to make space for us.
She made a whole space for us.
I appreciate that. I really do.
We appreciate that.
Oh, I am grateful for my union home. That's for sure, because they let me just show up hella Black every day. I think sometimes I confuse my coworkers, but they be like, "We'll figure it out." Yeah, that's Denise. She making theater.
Hey,
and that's,
she doing it. She doing her thing. That's Denise.
and that's what I appreciate about them, because they don't always get me, but they know to make space for it. So yes, and that's all.
I think that's
all you asking.
That's all you can ask sometimes. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Just space.
So, what is kind of like what does the theater map look like in Omaha? Like, where did we start? How did we get to where we are? Because Echelle and I were talking about this, how like at this point there aren't many active theaters anymore in the city. And I remember there was a time, when I was at Creighton, there was a long list, like 30 active theaters. What happened?
I think one of the big challenges is not sustainable, right, Echelle?
Mm-hmm. Sustainability is difficult. And the arts, as we all know, will go to the wayside when money gets tight.
Mm-hmm.
And we also, unfortunately, in Omaha, have this mentality, it's not just theater. It runs rampant in a lot of circles and organizations that we want to compete instead of collaborate.
Mm-hmm.
So we have so many smaller venues that have lost their spaces or lost their voices. And it's happened because of a lack of collaboration of those smaller places. If those smaller theaters could get together and even like pool certain funds for like marketing for all of them, or there's so many things that you can do on the level of a smaller community theater basis that people missed out on because we're too busy concerned with winning awards and being seen.
Mm-hmm.
We want our picture in the paper. And when I say we, I don't mean me because my photos are terrible.
I would not say your photos are terrible.
I
Well, you've
wouldn't
seen,
either.
don't you put up one of those photos?
I would not say your photos are terrible. Echelle, look at you. You are out here.
Shut up, I hate you.
Look at that. Carolina Change, everybody.
Look at my little Danny dinner bird.
Echelle, can I say you sang the hell out of that show?
Okay, let me tell you. Echelle Childers left. Think of the best performance you've seen in your life, and then wish that you saw Echelle as Caroline.
Right? Like that's real. That's real. No, she sang the hell out of that show. Like the hell. Like I was in the audience, and you know, I'm making a little confession. Musical theater ain't really my thing. Don't hate me. I know.
We know.
Okay. All right. Well, for the people in the world, that ain't my jam. But you know, my girl had me on the edge of my seat because she sang every moment, every beat, every emotion, every intention. I was like, somebody please write this woman a check. I don't care, it's community theater, because she put it all on that stage.
I wanted somebody to write me a check.
That's real.
Seriously, like, you know, you've put. Let's not. Come on now, Denise. Thank you. I appreciate, but let's be real.
Denise,
this you have over here.
You have put in work too. You have put in work too.
Thank you.
Oh my God, I was proud.
Denise. Oh, I love it. Oh, girl, wow.
Killing it, girl. Why y'all got on the same costume?
You was on it. Girl,
why y'all wearing the same costume?
Right? Wait, they made mine. You know they made me
the same kind of trauma.
Stop it.
Y'all are foolish.
So I will tell you, I have in my life of doing theater in Omaha, I have had, I want to say 3 maids' costumes made specifically for me. So I'm not sure if I should feel good about that or not. I mean, tailored.
I think that's a special skill. You should put that on your resume.
It is. It is my resume.
Perfect for a maid costume.
I mean, seriously, though, while we're on the subject. So, unfortunately, a lot of times as Black actors, we do end up in maids' clothes, servants' clothes, slaves' rags. I was even taught slave speak one time.
By who?
No, I won't do it. I'm not going to say.
What they look like.
What do you think they look like?
Okay, can you tell me?
I have to have a whole phone call to be done live
and right. Are you kidding me?
I'm gonna need
no. Oh,
I'm not joking. I'm sorry. Is this called it a dialect? That's slave speak, not a dialect. Look, Denise is finished. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a problem.
But wait. That was within the last 5 years.
Shut up.
Oh, I know.
5 years. Between 2015 and 2020. And here's the thing that is so funny to me is the director of the show asked the person to teach us this dialect. I will say that it was me and Regina Palmer that had to learn this dialect. We'd never had to use it. And the person teaching it to us was like, I cannot believe that I was asked to do this. And we were like this. And she was like, "Did you want to repeat it?" And I was like, "I'm never repeating any of that in my life. I will never repeat
um,
any of that."
I know where you
So
did it now. Now I know. See, that's the thing. Omaha's so small that once I know one person in the show, I was like, I know what it was. I know exactly what it was. And
because
I'm
you weren't
mad.
in it.
And I'm mad.
But that
walk.
being said, I do believe that there are times when people have these light bulbs and they think, "Oh, that's perfect. That's gonna be great. That's just right for this kind of show." And oh well, they're black, so it'll work, and blah blah blah. And it's like, well, because you're white, you don't understand that it won't work, and you didn't ask me about it. You made an assumption based on your white privilege because you're used to just being able to do whatever the hell you want to do, and nobody says anything about it. Like, walk down the street, pay for some gum, buy
Carry a
some
bag of
Skittles,
Skittles.
Have a
protest
barbecue.
peacefully,
Can't even
Watch
have a
sleep,
some birds.
barbecue.
sleep.
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 You can't be sleep in your
Not
own
while you
bed.
black.
Don't sleep while black, girl.
That's the
No,
most
that's
dangerous thing you can
dangerous.
do in this here country. This here country sleeping while back. That'll get you killed.
It will.
Yeah.
We've seen it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so people wonder, what's the matter? Why are you upset? Why do you want to come at us? What did we do? What do you mean?
What didn't you do?
What have you done?
And what are you doing now? Yes, two
What have you
questions.
done?
I've been on a rampage the last couple weeks. This week has got me dang something. I don't know what to do. I made up words about it. I've written down like, oh, you have no idea. I've lost my mind today. I've just lost my mind this week. These people have lost their minds too, though.
Yes.
I feel like you haven't lost your mind. What has happened is people have tap danced on your last nerve,
Girl, tapping.
and they have disrupted your peace.
Disruption.
And I will say this because I think for the last couple of weeks, honestly, my mantra, the sentence, like my closing, like on every phone call has been protect your peace.
Yes.
And I'll be real. I was over these conversations in 2014. And I was like, y'all white folks need to go out here and get your cousins and get your mamas and get your grandpas and all the people and figure this out. Y'all need to go figure this out because like my energy now needs to go to creating space where me and artists who look like me on the full range of brownness can experience some joy, can have conversations that are important to our human existence and experience in the world, and also just have a space where we can come and have a process that doesn't feel like we have to leave half of us in the car before we walk through the parking lot and then leave another quarter of yourself at the door before you walk into the room. Mm-hmm. And like that, I think that's been me for the last is that almost 6 years now, because it got exhausting. It got exhausting sitting in a room talking about shows that people would like to do and then say, oh, but can we cast it? So not only either one of two things, either you're denying my very existence to my face, or you're telling me that I'm not worthy. And I was over that. I was over the even putting myself in these places and having to have other people go into these places, because there is so much talent in this city. There's so much talent in this city that is worthy. There's so much talent in this city that is hungry for training and for growth. There's so much talent in the city that has been primed and ready for years, and people keep overlooking it. And I just got done. And I was I was lucky to land in a place where I could advocate and fight for and create like a creative home where we could show up and just do what we do.
Mhm.
Sorry, I got to plug in. I got low battery.
Listen, but that's also protecting your peace. You got to charge. You got to recharge.
Yeah, you got to recharge. Protect your peace.
Mm-hmm.
Protect your peace, because these mugs out here who are tap dancing on your last nerve don't give two bleepity bleeps about your peace.
Mm.
And with everything in the world, we more than deserve peace, joy, and rest.
Mm. Amen.
Yes.
See, so you two have been
I
working.
believe you, Denise, but it's difficult to do for me right now. I don't know what the problem
Oh, I
is.
know, because you mad at him, and you I get it, because right now you want to lay hands. I get it, because at 14 I was laying hands. At 14, my fingers, as my friend Carla like to say, I had tone all up in these fingers. You hear me? Tone in the fingers. But I was like, I can't. My energy needs to go, because I give all that energy to y'all, and y'all don't do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Y'all don't shift.
Mm-hmm.
I put all that energy into creating the work that we able to do down at the union, and I see shift. I see people growing. I see people coming and going and moving and reaching back and coming back through, and right, like that's where I want my energy to be fruitful. Then I don't have no babies, so I need my work to be fruitful. And it wasn't fruitful spinning my wheels with the people who didn't understand that they had to shift.
Yes. I will say your work is fruitful. And I don't know if people know this, but Denise has been doing the Wednesday night get together, and you go in on a call or Zoom call. I believe are you doing Zoom?
We're doing Zoom.
Mm-hmm. And they do like a reading or just a space where you can get together. And I didn't make it in this week. I tried, but yeah,
Girl,
but that's
technology.
the space that people need, though.
Mm-hmm.
It's a safe space, and we don't have a lot of safe spaces.
Mm-mm.
And that's been proven to us on a daily basis.
And we're people that are of community. We need community to thrive, to survive, to do the thing. And so, as folks that have worked in Omaha in theater for a long, how has it shifted and changed or not over the time that you've been here?
Ooh.
Well, so I'm from Omaha. I was born and raised here. I started doing theater in 1985. I was in high school then. There was, I think, a period of time in the mid 90s when I felt like theater was really open to a lot of people, and people were doing a lot of different things, a lot of different places. And then tides seemed to change, and we became more segregated again.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what that shift was exactly. I've seen a lot of shifts. You know what? Okay, I'll be honest. Am I on? Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
we hear you.
We hear you.
Great. I've been in and out so much. I don't know. Okay. Well, here's the thing. I was in a safe space from like 1993 to 2004. I was at the Dundee Dinner Theater, where there was no there was no question that if you were right for the role, you would be cast. It didn't, like, there wasn't a color issue there. We didn't have that. We had Black directors. We didn't have it. We didn't have it. I want to say that was probably one of the first times that Denise and I worked to. Is that when we met? Was that the dinner
Oh my
theater?
God, I forgot about that. The hot dog
Hot
matinees.
dog matinees. Because
Hot
Oh
dog
my
matinees.
goodness.
I was in charge of the theater by kids for kids. So I would hire our
Yes.
directors, and we would
Mhm.
have a group of youth who would put on these Saturday afternoon, like noon shows. They would be about 45 minutes, and we served hot dogs, carrots, macaroni and cheese, and a juice box.
Yep.
And and that was a way. I mean, it was $7, and it was a way to get kids into theater that wouldn't normally be there. It was pretty inexpensive. I mean, we packed people in there, like people, and we went to. I mean, we had every race of person, every person, any person who wanted to be in theater could be in theater at the Dundee Dinner Theater. So I was super lucky that we had that space. So it wasn't until 2004 when that space went away that I really honestly was like, the hell? Because before that, I did stuff at Center Stage. Black people worked there. That was the first place I ever did anything was Center Stage. Well, I did do one show at the Playhouse, but back when I was like 17. But the Center Stage was my first experience with theater. Black people were everywhere. I didn't even realize that people could do theater without Black people. I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh.
Wow.
Like, what? What do you mean? What do you mean Black people aren't in that show? What do you mean you got one Black person in your show? What do you mean you have one Black person in your show and they're playing a rug?
Not a rug.
Beauty and the Beast.
Oh.
Not one. There was more Black people, but one of the Black people was a rug. I mean, what a better way to say walk all over me.
Oh.
Make a Black man a rug.
See, it's the deeper messages people don't see. So
people don't, and you know, people will be like, "Oh, you're reading into it." Okay.
So I saw a production of Romeo and Juliet at a theater in Chicago that I would not name that does Shakespeare a lot. But I'm not going to name them. But they do Shakespeare a lot, and they're in Chicago.
I understand.
And it was a production of Romeo and Juliet. And the concept was urban, which like urban is not a concept. Urban isn't even really even a genre of people. Y'all just really like to use it.
You like to use that word
as a dog whistle.
And in one of the scenes, the woman who was playing Juliet, who was Black, during the balcony scene, was actually sleeping on the front porch of her South Side home. I mean, it wasn't Chicago, but it was kind of Chicago. She was sleeping on the porch. And that's where the scene happened. So I was like, am I being told that she is a porch monkey? I'm very confused. Why is she sleeping on the porch? Like, and it's like, it's that stuff that it's like, oh, you're just reading into it. I'm like, no, like clearly you didn't think that could be something that someone might experience sitting here watching this show.
And if I feel that way, trust that there are other people will feel that way. And you've probably done this before, and that's why you don't have a Black audience.
Well, and your actor, like that poor actor that now has to live with this thing and is like, you know, I don't think we can change it because of the set, so I'm just going to deal with it because whatever, it'll be fine. And then like it's this thing, this cycle that keeps happening where like you're silenced. You don't think that you can say anything. You're like
exactly repercussions.
Terrible.
And in Omaha, I mean to tell you. Repercussions are no joke because you speak out and you are treated as though you don't have your First Amendment right. How dare you say that? How dare you speak out against this building? How dare you speak out against this organization? How dare you speak out against this group of volunteers or whatever it is? But I'm like, how dare you not stand up for humanity?
Well, and
It's
what I'll say,
uplifting.
here's what's interesting. This blackball culture, this idea that you can be blackballed for, like it doesn't happen outside of Omaha. I promise you. There are people that have done really terrible, awful things that for some reason still have auditions and get jobs. And people know that they've done terrible, awful things. I think there should be less of that as well. But like, I'll be like, what do you mean? Like, why are you telling me this story about this person that's done this terrible thing? How are they on stage? And I think maybe it's because I come from Omaha, where like, even if you do something that's a positive thing and people perceive it as wrong, you don't get to be on stage.
Right.
So like, maybe.
But also, though, in Omaha, you can do really terrible things and still get a job and still get hired places.
Yeah.
And that's if you're not Black, I mean. Is that, I mean, we can say that here, right? Because we are here.
I mean, we are here.
Right.
As
It's
you
the
as
truth.
you already said it.
It's the
Right,
truth,
you said
though.
it. You said it.
You already said it.
You got me on the wrong day. I'm just like, here for it. I'm done. I'm so finito with it all. I can't believe them. I can't believe it all. I'm going to talk about a couple of things real quick
Oh,
Okay.
about the Omaha theaters.
Hold on, wait, just a
So,
second.
no, 'cause Nick asked a question.
You go on, girl. You speak. You speak the speech. Oh no, did we lose her? We lost her.
oh
no!
no! She was about to go in.
She was.
I felt like she was about to pull out some receipts.
Oh my god,
Like-
that's the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
Echelle, get back here.
Echelle, come
Get back
back
here.
because you telling all them stories. I don't care if we're gonna be here all night. Oh my goodness. Well, while we get Echelle back, are you watching the live?
I was so confused. I was like, maybe I could try to find her, and then I pressed the button, and then all of a sudden, there's us fucking smack on the thing.
Well, while we wait for Echelle to come back with those juicy stories, Denise,
oh my god,
what is your Omaha experience been like?
You know, I will say that my Omaha experience is a little bit different. I feel like Echelle lived in this beautiful gap where the word multiculturalism and colorblind live in a space that allowed folks to just, I don't know, exist differently. And the problem is in those specific spaces, like they thrived, but it didn't challenge folks in larger spaces to actually like push the conversation forward or really think about like diversity, equity, and inclusion and justice and what it actually looks like to create safe spaces for Black and brown bodies and people of all races to be able to walk into your space and create and do work. Mm-hmm. I have like a hardcore Midwest experience. So I've been one of one, one of two, one of three. Like that was my life. Like in fact, we moved here from Sioux City, Iowa, and my mama was like, find the Black people and move us there. When my dad came house hunting. So like there's something about that I think Midwest Black experience when you were navigating those spaces in that way, especially in the time of colorblindness where they wanted to pretend that you weren't Black. Oh, we don't see you as Black. I'm not racist, but don't take offense. Now I say this offensive ass thing. Like I navigated all of those spaces all the way through undergrad. And even partly in grad school. And when I got out in Chicago and I did my first show with Andy Diamond, directing, and Gloria Bond Clooney writing. It was a show called Shoes, and it was my first all Black cast and my first Black director. And I was like, I am here for this always. Mm. So like my move back home from Chicago was mostly intentional. I I was at a point where I couldn't do the work I wanted to do, like just in the day-to-day grind. And I felt like Omaha was a space where I had enough connections here to make things shift and move in a way that I couldn't make a move in Chicago. And it's the place where I wanted to affect change. And I think also it's like, you know, that 15-year-old version of you always is like trying to build the home that you wanted. Mm-hmm. So that's been my Omaha experience. Like I did my undergrad at Creighton, like navigated all of like being mostly one brown person in the department for however long that was until the next person came. And then, but you know, I will say we stumbled through that process together and we all figured some things out. And I also was able to do some restoration comedy and some really cool roles. But I did play a maid, right? And then after undergrad, it was like, you know what, I want to do some stuff we never did. And like literally my department gave me the keys to the theater for the summer and was like, okay. And I mean, who does that? Like, where does that happen?
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of this double-edged sword, because I think for me, it's always been about how do we build a thing, mm-hmm. right? Versus how do I get in, totally. Right? I don't know if I've always wanted to get in. I wanted to have a space where you could make and create and show up as your full self and not feel like you had to navigate all the ways that my Black body has required me to navigate living in the Midwest. Mm-hmm. So
I feel that. She's back!
Yay! Uh-oh. Okay, let me hear.
Okay, what you got to say?
What's Denise doing?
She
chilling. Froze now?
Oh, she's frozen now. Oh
no.
Tables have turned.
Tables have turned.
Oh, she's sipping her tea. Okay.
Okay. Oh, the tea. Uh-huh. So here's the thing. So just this week, even, there's been a lot of scuttlebutt in the Omaha theater community. And I'm going to talk about it because I hope that people are listening. And I'm not going to, this isn't an angry speak for me. But I think it is extraordinarily important for us to realize that we have limitations. And when I say us and we, I'm not speaking about us and we, because our limitations are put on us daily. People limit us when they look at us. So it's not us, because
oh no! Oh!
What can do. But what I am concerned about.
You froze for a whole section. We missed that entire thing you just said.
What'd I say?
I don't know.
What's the last thing you heard?
Because
what'd I say before that? You gotta pay attention. You know I'm old and I forget. Stop laughing at me. This is what happens when Nick and I get together. And Denise, we don't make no sense.
No, it's not. It's foolish.
So what was I? Where was I? What did you hear me say? You mean I need to start over?
It was limitations. You was about to go in on limitations because the limitations are put on us. But
you said I'm not saying we and us because we're using our limitations every day because
they put the limitations on us, but we are able to rise above our limitations that are put on us by others, because we know those are not our limitations. We are not a stupid people. And people in Omaha seem to think that we are. And I don't get that part. But I will say a couple of things. So we talked about the climate of theater. I'm still going, right? You hear me, right?
Yes, you're here.
I can't hear y'all. Ain't nobody saying nothing.
Because we
So
listen.
We in
I
school.
know. Hey, I'm just saying. So this is the thing that I've noticed over the last few years. And obviously this is always going to change when there's different leadership for different theaters. When theater leadership changes, that theater has to do some rebuilding and growing. There are theaters that do it well. There are theaters that are not necessarily doing it as well. It is very important, if you have the desire to work in these theaters, to make your voice heard. Your voice is important. Without, y'all froze, am I froze?
No, you're good. You're good.
Without your voice, they'll never know they were wrong. And I don't care if they don't like that I'm saying they were wrong, but they are wrong sometimes. And they don't know they're wrong because they don't know Black life. They don't understand the Black experience because they're not Black. I don't understand the Latinx experience because I'm not Latinx. I'm not Latina. I understand that about myself. And so I'm willing to learn and I'm willing to grow, but I'm not willing to put myself in a position where I'm going to tell someone who is of a certain ethnicity how to be that ethnicity if I'm not that ethnicity. Also, I'm not going to tell anybody how to be Black for sure. But what we have right now, I feel like in our community, is a couple of theaters that are really working overtime to try to get their stages to be diverse. They're working overtime to do it. They're not just putting a Black show on their season. They're saying, this is a season for the theater that we have. This is our choice for shows because it fits our vision of our theater. And now what we need to do is make sure that we do not have an all-white season. And I will bring up specifically the Blue Barn right now and the Rose right now, because those are not theaters that you think of as being Black theaters or theaters for people of color. You don't think of it. It's not like the Union. The Union, is that space. You like, that's there. That's the heart and soul of us. But there are people making spaces for us. And those two specific places will, and the Union too. I'm not leaving the Union out. But what I'm talking about are these other spaces that are trying, they're taking action steps to make room for people of color, and they are paying them. That is number one of the differences between some of the theaters and some of the other theaters. When you are able to be paid for your time, you might be more apt to be able to do that show. I am a person who works 2 jobs. So if I'm going to do a show, I have to not work one of those jobs. If I'm not working one of those jobs, I have to think about what am I going to miss out on as far as that money goes if I'm volunteering to do your show. And unfortunately, too many times we've had to volunteer. I'm all about volunteering when you want to volunteer, but they have put on us numerous times to volunteer for 6 days a week, 4 hours a day, and then leaving your soul on a stage. And that's not fair. However, I digress. I'm going to say, I believe that the Blue Barn and the Rose are theaters that I have seen in my time in Omaha, which is my whole life, do a lot of changing and listening and trying to take action steps without having to be prodded.
Yeah.
Yes.
I full disclosure, I sit on the board at the Rose, so I co-sign. I co-sign.
And I'm a Rose kid, so
yes, you are.
And you know, that's the thing is I directed Ella Enchanted there last year. I mean, and Denise did Dragons Love Tacos.
Yes, I did.
And both of our casts were brown as all get out. And I feel like that there are some institutions that will fight you on that. There are some places that will be like, I don't know.
Well, it's not a black show.
Right. But
so
it was
why
not,
are there so many black people in it?
It was not a conversation. In fact, there were people that I was like, one of my stipulations is this person will get an offer. And they were like, great. Like, because that's, that's how it should be. And I also think that it's important for theater, especially in Omaha, but everywhere, to remember that if you are a nonprofit institution, you are a public institution that works for the people. The money, the dollars that you get, the reason you get them is because you're supposed to give them back, put them back into the pockets, or put them back into the hearts or the minds or the souls of those people. You're supposed to enrich them somehow.
The education of those people.
Yes. So when someone in that community says to you, this is not working and here is why, it is not your place to get defensive. It is not your place to say, oh, like, you don't have to be right. It's okay. And if someone's telling you you're wrong, then you are, because even if you don't think you are, they feel wronged. And impact matters over intent. And also, I question, what is the intent? If you are working at a place that is supposed to like do their mission items, like, I really want you to like take a second and print that mission out that I'm sure you haven't looked at for a long time, and tell me if you really can think about if that organization is doing that work. Like, can you say that is why, and is that why you're going to work? Because that should also be the reason that you go to work at that job.
Right. Or are you just going for accolades? Awards. Facing the paper. Whatever it is anymore. I don't even know. But I will say that we did take a little step forward today, I believe, with, first I'll say, when we were talking about the theaters and giving back to the community, if your name starts with Omaha community, I'm going to need you to be a part of that and listen to them. Now, what I will say is that today we took some steps forward because in the last few days, there have been some people reaching out to this particular institution and saying that they had an issue with a black show being directed by a white director. And people want to get up in arms about it. Get up in your damn arms. I don't care. Because I'm here to tell you, no white director on this planet should direct a show about 9 young brothers who were falsely accused of raping 2 white women and sentenced to death, and had 8 or 9 trials where they were all continued to be sentenced to death.
Yep. They had a debate on one of them.
The youngest one, because he was only 12 or 13 at the time.
Yeah.
But the situation of that that's a real thing that happened. This isn't fiction. This isn't your Beauty and the Beast. This isn't your Annie. This isn't your Jesus Christ Superstar even.
Nope.
These men were falsely accused and sentenced to death and didn't ever get a fair trial. And then even when one of the women said it didn't happen, they still didn't get released. I'm sorry if I think that show should have a black director, but I do. And so I felt some kind of way when I found out that it wasn't going to, as did other people. And things came out, and our voices were heard for this one thing. Our voices were heard. And I appreciate that, at least about them, because that is an action step that they are taking in listening to their community. Does it change my feelings about them? No. Because I also got a response to an email that was like, I appreciate your perspective. And I was like, this isn't my perspective.
Yeah. Well, that's, I got a similar response to an email from the Playhouse in Omaha that may be for a community. And what's frustrating for me is I'm like, the blanket time is over. You can't do blankets anymore. You can't. You just can't. And I think that for so long we've accepted we're trying the best we can. We've accepted we are taking steps. We have a diversity task force made of the same people that are already working in the building anyway, which means that we're not really going to work on any inclusion because it's exclusionary by forming of the task force.
Right.
But it's like that, like it's those things cannot work anymore if we want to see actual progress, if we want to see anything actually move forward. And I think that a lot of times people, I think I've said this before, like it's just theater, like we're just making plays. It's like, but if we're not doing it here, then like how do we expect it to ever change here? How do we expect to ever change anything that's happening globally and in this country and move any conversations forward, to pass any legislation, to do anything if we don't even value it in an artistic space where you're all liberal. You are all liberal.
And they can't say that it's just theater, because if you ask them why they're doing the show, they will tell you it is due to educational purposes. They are doing the show to bring light to a subject and to educate. And so they are not just doing it because it's theater. They're doing it because they can get a grant to make them money to get the show done. So don't balk at it as it's just theater. You mean for this to be done the way it's done. You need it to be done the way it's done so you can make money off of it. But let us not forget here that what you're asking is for Black people to tap into some stuff that they shouldn't have to, but they will. But if you want these Black men, I'm going to speak on Scarborough boys specifically because that's what I'm talking about. Scottsboro boys, I'm sorry. But if you want these young men, you want these young men to come in and tell your story and educate white people, pay them to do it. Pay them to do it. You want them to be educators? Let them be paid. Let them be paid to educate. That's bull.
Yeah.
It's baloney. I mean, and you're talking about young Black men.
Yeah.
And you want to put them in the hands of just some random white person and hope for the best? No. No.
That's called slavery. Denise, before we part, what are some of the ways that you keep in your peace? What can we do to make sure that as we fight the fight that needs to be fought and continue to have these conversations, because we're not stopping. And that's the thing is, there are blanket statements that get put out consistently. And I think it's because the thought is we'll placate. We will calm them down for now. They'll calm. This is just a little storm and they're going to sit back down. I think we as artists need to remember that we can't stop. And no matter what they say, no matter how many gigs you think you're going to miss out on, if you are a Black artist in Omaha, Nebraska, and you feel like you can't say anything because you won't have a space, you will always have a space at the Union for Contemporary Art. And if that is a problem, which it won't be, call me and like we will find a space for you. Like it's fine. There should never be a problem if you feel like you're not safe because you have nowhere to go. You always have somewhere to go.
You got a home.
Yeah. But what are you doing to keep what are three ways that we can keep the peace?
3 ways you can protect your peace.
Protect your peace, not keep the peace.
Yes, protect your peace. Yeah, because there is no peace, but you can protect your peace. One, be mindful where you spend your energy. I spoke about that a little earlier. I'm really about where can my energy be spent and we can shift, whether that's new skill, new opportunity, growth, whatever that is, right? Where you spend your energy. Two, how are you feeding your creative self, right? Are you taking a walk? What are you reading? What are you listening to? What are you consuming? Turn the social media off, turn CNN off, right? But how are you feeding your creative self? Um, and I think finally, like giving yourself space to create in response to however, right? And don't think about whatever that creation is as being for consumption. Um, I wrote a poem that I was really a little hesitant to put online, but I ended up doing it because I was like, no, I think yes. But when I wrote that, I didn't write that for it to be in the world. I just allowed myself to create. Um, so I think like as creatives, like that's the space we have to occupy. And I'm sorry, it's for because you have to rest. If you don't follow the nap ministry, I suggest you get on the Twitters, on the tweets, get on the book of faces and check out Bishop because like she will let you know you're doing too much. Get you a captain. Let the breeze flow up under you on your body
On
and
your
get you a
body.
nap and get you some rest because joy, rest, and peace are fundamental rights for us, especially as Black and Brown people in this country who come and have ascended from folks who were stolen and made to toil for 400 years and then had all the shit they built in 50 years stole and then created like then had to like exist within these systems that are designed for you not to be able to move forward. That shit's exhausting. Get you some rest. I think that's what I have to say about that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That was beautiful.
Yes.
Ah,
Mm-hmm.
y'all, thank you for being here.
Thank
That was
you.
the Juneteenth
Come
episode.
on, Juneteenth.
Yeah.
Oh, can I add one more thing, which I know is
Yes.
probably a thing? I feel like part of Juneteenth celebration as we think about moving forward, because there's some people who have conflicting issues with this holiday because we was late to our freedom for 2.5 years because folks was all like lying about the thing. As we think about reparations, maybe part of the Juneteenth celebration is that some of our Caucasian friends might need to fund the barbecue.
Oh.
I'm just saying. That might be a way for us to think about, like, if you're struggling with Juneteenth, like I've got a really close friend who's like, why don't we celebrate the signing of the 13th Amendment instead of Juneteenth? I was like, well, yeah, let's add that holiday in, but let's also like maybe think about Juneteenth as a space where we can be like, yo, we as white people in this country are sorry that some of our ancestors lied about when y'all was free. Like, how can we donate to your barbecue?
Well, okay, and I just want to be clear. We are asking for donations for the barbecue. We are not asking you to cook for the barbecue.
No, you can't. No.
Do not cook
No.
for the barbecue. Do not
fund
cook for
the barbecue because I got uncles and daddy and a daddy and the brother who know. I mean, don't get me wrong. I can smoke some meats, but I'm just saying we got that on lock. We just need some funding, and I'm gonna put that out there in the world for y'all to think about as we talk about these Juneteenth celebrations. Maybe we need to fund some activities for brown people to rest and celebrate and enjoy their freedom that they was late to because folks was lying because they didn't want to give up their free labor.
Right.
And you heard it here first on the Come Up, folks. My two dear friends, I'm going to wrap this puppy up, but if you want to hang out backstage and I'll chat with you afterwards.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here. What a time. Woo! Oh, wait, that's wrong. Hold on. Y'all, bye now. Okay. Y'all, that's the end of Juneteenth week. It's been such a long week that I'm not even going to tell you who's coming next week because I honestly can't remember right now. Thank you so much for being here and hanging out with me this week. It's been so much fun. We've met a lot of Black folks. You've learned a lot of Black stuff. Find all those artists. If you don't know how to connect with them, reach out to me and I can connect you with them. Thanks for being here. See you next week here on The Come Up. I got what, in. Da da da, wah.